How's it going, guys, and welcome back to the Faulks Tech YouTube channel. So in this video I'm going to be showing you how to install Plex on a Centos 7 machine, a Linux machine. But I want to talk about two ways you can do this. You can do this on a physical server, a physical Linux machine, or you can do this as a virtual machine, which is basically just a machine that is not really there, but it's virtually there. It doesn't require any hardware besides the computer that you're running, and you can have this running in the background. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be using Virtualbox. You can get this from virtualbox.org. You can host quite a few VMs in here. The only limitation you have is your hardware specs, and such as memory and CPU. So yes, what I'm going to be doing is just that. I'm going to install this on a Centos machine. I'm going to go through the steps. If you're installing this on a physical server, or a physical machine that is, and you're not going to be using Virtualbox, go ahead and fast forward through this tutorial until you see me starting with a command line. But for those that want to run this in a virtual machine, such as on a physical laptop, physical computer, this is how you would do that. So we got Virtualbox open here. We're going to click the new button. Well, I'm going to call this Plex Centos machine. And don't worry, guys, I will show you where to grab the Centos image as well as the Oracle virtual machine image. I'm going to be changing this to Linux, and I'm going to put this at Red Hat 64-bit. Depending on what Linux flavor you get, this will you'll want to change this to match. There's no Centos here. The closest we have to Centos is Red Hat, which is more of an enterprise Centos type deal. So I'm going to put that red hat here. We're going to click next. Now setting this up, memory. This is all based on your hardware specifications. My laptop that I'm doing this on for the tutorial has 8 gigabytes of memory. And most of the time it will show you how much you have, which is here. And if you're going to be setting this up and having it running at all times, I would say put it around a fourth of your memory that you have allocated. If you're going to be running this every now and again, and you're not going to be using the computer or laptop very much, then you can put it around the 1/2 or 3/4 mark, depending on how many VMs you have running. I'm going to have one VM running, and I'm only doing this as a test. But if I were doing it as a permanent solution, and I wouldn't be touching my laptop at all, I would put it around this mark here. That's around 3/4. We're going to click next. And this is basically creating a virtual disk. This will take up space on your local hard drive of the machine, unless you choose another location for this to go to. I'm going to be choosing create a virtual disk now. You really don't have to know too much about this. This is just different variations of hard disk file types, VMDK, virtual hard disk, and Virtualbox disk image. Basically, this is just the proprietary choice for virtual VM Virtualbox. This will be a universal VMware as well as virtual Oraclebox. VHD is also kind of universal, but it's only for Virtualbox as well as Hyper-V. I'm going to keep this at VDI just because this is just something I'm going to be using only in Virtualbox. If you plan on migrating the VMs, this gets into a little more technical than it needs to be. But if you're going to be migrating the VMs to another platform, such as for VMware, you'll use the VMDK option. If you're going to be migrating this VM to Hyper-V, you'll be using the VHD option. But I'm not going to be doing any migrations, so I'm leaving that VDI. Alright, so you can set this to dynamically allocated. Basically, that means that it expands as the file system grows. Or you can do a file size, or fit size. I'm going to be going with fit size. This is not going to be a growing VM. I don't like using dynamically allocated because the problem that we have there is with dynamically allocated, it will expand as your OS expands, and that's great and all. But you have a fixed amount of disk on your machine, or server, laptop, whatever you're using for Virtualbox. So eventually, if your VM grows, it can fill up your whole disk space and cause some major issues. Virtualbox, I'm sure they have a shrink tool to shrink that VMDK or VHD or VDI, but I haven't really done any research on that. I'm going to be using fit size here. We're going to choose next. And now this is just going to host my OS. So I'm going to be placing this around We'll do 20 gigabytes. If you're planning on moving your movies to this location, then I would definitely go larger. But just keep in mind that it will take up space on your local drive, so don't put this guy at 2 terabytes if your local disk drive is only 500 gigabytes. I'm pretty sure it will error out, but I haven't tested it, so I wouldn't recommend doing that. So I'm going to choose Create File. I can also change the path, change the location here. I could choose another location for the VDI to be stored. I'm going to save it in the same location as my VM, so I'm going to click Create. And you'll see this will take a few minutes here. And while this is going, guys, let me go ahead and show you where to grab this information from. So guys, this is where you can grab the Virtualbox. So you just click this Downloads button. And my internet is slow here. And you'll choose Windows Host. And then it'll start the download. You'll install that and you'll see exactly what I'm seeing. If you're using a Mac or something else, then you'll have OS X host as well as Linux and Solaris as well. Most of you guys will probably be using Windows host, so that's what I would recommend you use here. Let me cancel that. And getting the CentOS download image, let me show you where that's at here. Alright, so centos.org/download is where you'll get the CentOS image if you plan on doing this. You have a couple of options. You can do the download ISO, the everything ISO, or the minimal ISO. Today I'm going to be doing the everything ISO. And the reason I'm doing the everything ISO, let me tell you the difference between these. The minimal ISO has the minimal files and the minimal packages installed. Basically, you'll get a pretty small download. And it'll be you'll see most services not there that you may need to use, so you have to install them on your own. So a good way to think of this is, if you're going with something as a basic Linux server, then you can go with minimal. You can install packages as you need them, but it's highly technical and can be troublesome at times. Or you can go with the everything ISO. This has just about every package already installed. And there's very little work that you have to do. It's much bigger. It's about 8 gigabytes in file size. So what I did was I went ahead and went with everything. For this tutorial, if you're following this tutorial, I would recommend you also go with everything, just because it'll match up. I may do a minimal tutorial later on, but it can be more troublesome than 15 minutes of waiting for the everything ISO to download and use that. So that's where you get that from. Once it's downloaded, I'll show you how to link it to the VM once this is done. Alright guys, once it's done, you'll see this right here. It'll show the server up here. What we're going to be doing, we're going to go ahead and, there's a couple steps you could do here. You could go ahead and attach the ISO that you're going to be using, but if you follow my steps, it's the easiest because sometimes it would detach the ISO. And the ISO is just the Linux machine that I was speaking about that you downloaded from centos.org. So we're going to click the Start button. It may take a minute to start here. Now here's where it's asking me for the startup disk. This will be the ISO. So all I'm going to do is browse for the CentOS ISO, which is in my downloads folder. That's CentOS 7 everything. I'm going to click Open. 8.75 gigs is the size of it. We're going to click Start. And we're going to install CentOS. Now this is important as well. If you see down here, right control will get you out of this window. So if you click in here, your mouse is stuck in that window. You cannot move it out of that window without hitting the right control button on your keyboard. I'm going to install CentOS. And as I said, yeah, my mouse is gone. I cannot move it, and all I have to do is hit the right control, and my mouse is back, as you can see. So if you click in there and you can't control your mouse, don't worry, you didn't break anything. Just hit that right control key on your keyboard, and it will release and give you your mouse back. Alright guys, once we reach this point, let's make sure you click your relative language as well as your location here. We're going to click continue after this. And here we can leave most of these things default. Unless you got another keyboard layout, go ahead and change that. We're going to change this software selection. This goes back to the original point I was making at the beginning of this video. Alright guys, and we're going to be choosing this basic web server here. I'm just doing this because it'll install some of the package. I have add-ons as well. I'm not going to choose any of these add-ons. I'm choosing this because it has some of my networking commands I would like to have in there. I'm going to click done. Let it load up again here. While it loads, I'm going to go ahead and set this up. Just hit done. The reason I did that is they had a yellow, or excuse me, an orange exclamation point. That will not proceed until everything is clear. If you see one, you will need to get that taken care of. Basically what I did here is I just clicked done because I don't have any partitions that I want to manually set up. I'm going to let it automatically set up, but that is something you have to specify within this. So once we have that, we're going to click done. Hit begin install. Go ahead and set up if you want to set up a user, you can. I'm not going to. I'm just going to set up a root password here. Once that's set, you want to go ahead and scroll up, hit that done button up top. And this will take a minute, so we're going to let this roll, and I'll see you in a few minutes. Alright, and once it's done, we're going to click that reboot button here. Alright guys, and this is what it looks like. This is the core version of Linux 7. Basically, this is command line, all command line based, no GUI installed. So we're going to type in the username, which is root, and your password, which is your password you set up a moment ago. And once you're in, guys, you can go ahead and test to make sure you have internet. I'm going to test that now. Alright, there it is right there. If config. There's my if config. If config, basically it just displays your IP information. In Windows, it'll be IP config. But in a Linux environment, it is if config. So there it is right there. And guys, right now it is set to be internal IP. So I want to change that and make sure I can reach it on my other machines. So at this time, guys, this will impact all of you that are using the Virtualbox. Go ahead and type in power off. Once power off, let's come in here. Right click on this guy, click settings, go to network, and make sure this is set to bridged adapter. Click OK. Click start. Alright, go ahead, type in root, your password once more, and I'm going to do ifconfig, and my IP address is 192.168.1.89. Now, if you want, the first thing you want to do is you want to make sure you can reach that address before we proceed. To do that, open up command prompt. All I'm going to do is click on my search bar, type in CMD, enter. I'm going to bring this down. Now, I'm not, just in case you guys aren't too familiar with computers at all, you're going to want to use a command called ping. Ping basically tries to communicate to the IP address you specify here. So you're going to do ping 192.168.1.89. And don't put a slash on it, that was my fault. Now you see it's pinging and replying. If you see that, you're golden, you're good to go. If you guys, I can go in much more details of why this is and how to get IP addresses. I can do a full Linux tutorial, and that may be something I do if you're interested in that. But let's go ahead and proceed with the steps here. Alright guys, the first thing I do to any machine, regardless of type, is to update it. And in this flavor of Linux, which is CentOS, to update this, you're going to use the yum command. It'll be yum update. Press enter. And right now it's going to query all of the updates, all the packages that need to be installed. And there's going to be quite a few guys, so we'll just give us some time to load. Alright guys, and once it's done querying all the updates, you'll get presented with this. Hit Y for yes to download and install. Alright guys, so when the update has completed, I'm going to be using an actual reference for this, and I want to share this with you as well. I would create my own blog post for this, but I don't really have time to do that. So if you want to follow along, you can head on to How to Forge Tutorials, Centos Plex Media Server. You can also find this by just Googling how to install Plex on a Centos machine, and you'll see the How to Forge in the search results. So we're going to be starting here. We're going to be creating a repo package for Plex. And basically what that is, guys, is basically just a pointer. When I run this command here, it'll know exactly where to get this Plex media server because we'll have a repo for that. If we didn't have that there and I ran that, it will basically tell me that it cannot find that package. So go ahead and do that. CD is also just a change directory. Vim is basically a editor where you can edit files and create files. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this. Alright guys, so we're going to be copying this command. Before doing that, the current way we're doing this review as far as viewing the VM within this Virtualbox, it is going to make life difficult if you don't have an SSH program to SSH in. The one that I use and the one that I recommend everyone get is PuTTY. PuTTY is basically just a executable you get from putty.org. What you'll do is you'll click here, and I don't do the actual install. I just grab the exe. I already have that, so I'm just going to type in PuTTY, and it pulls up this right here. This is a very simple program. All we need is to type in the IP address and then click the open button. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to type in my address, my IP address. Your IP address will be different. Again, to get your IP address, type in ifconfig like this. Press enter, and your IP address is right here. Mine is .89. So I'm going to be typing that in 192.168.1.89. I'm going to click open. You can click yes or no here. I'm going to click no. Log in. This is the same credentials, root, and your password. Now, the reason why I did this is because now I can paste with just a right click on the mouse. I no longer need this up. We're just going to minimize that. I'm going to open this on half of my screen, open PuTTY on the other half. So now, highlight this, Control C or copy. Now in PuTTY, you just right click on the mouse and it pastes it in there for you. And we're going to choose Vim, copy, right click, enter. This is what a new file looks like. And all we need to do, scroll on down, go ahead and copy this right here. So guys, yeah, I know I may be doing a little fast, but this is my daily life. This is what I live, eat, and breathe. I'm heavy, really heavy in Linux at my job. So if you want a Linux tutorial, I can definitely help you there. And I have no problem doing so, but I need to see some comments in the section below if you want to see that. So with this, I hit I to insert, and then I right click on my mouse to paste this in. Now we need to write and quit the file. So I'm hitting my control button, Control C. Then I'm doing the Shift colon, and at the bottom you can see right here, type in WQ and press enter. That file has been written. We now have a Plex repository. Now we can move on to installing it. So let's copy this. Again, I'm not going to go through these commands. If you want to see me do this, just let me know and I'll do it. So I pasted, I press enter. It is now running. Alright guys, so Plex is now installed. Now the next thing we want to do is make sure that we create a service for this and make sure it does start at boot, and that's what these next commands are for. that starts it. This enables it to start. I'm going to paste that in as well. I'm going to scroll on down, and this will check the status of the service. Alrighty, so next is setting up the firewall. We're going to go ahead and do this. I don't need to do this per se, but some of you that may have issues, I want to go ahead and roll this in as well to the tutorial. And it's already installed, and this is why I don't need to do it. Mine should be installed and already enabled. But let me go ahead and run this here. Copy, paste. Alright, now it wants us to go ahead and set up the firewall rules to make sure the ports are open for Plex. Again, this is something I do on a daily basis, guys. So I'm copying this, right clicking to paste. If for any reason you have questions or want to see a tutorial on Linux, let me know. I can do that. Right click in here. It did not copy what I wanted to copy, so I'm going to backspace that. Going to open up this. Vim again is a text editor. It's going to bring us here. I'm going to press I for insert. I'm going to copy this. Right click. I'm going to now hit Control C to get out of insert mode. Shift colon, as you see at the bottom here. WQ. Enter. That will be that. Now we just need to run this command here. So we're going to copy this, paste it, and that basically just adds the service to the firewall, and this reloads the firewall. And success. Alright, now let's go ahead and run this to see how things are looking. And we should see Plex server under services, which we do. And of course, guys, if you don't have a Plex server, go ahead and grab or a login. Go ahead and set up the login through your app.plex.tv. Now, we want to type in this address. Of course, change this right here to your IP. So copy link. We're going to paste it here. I'm going to come right here. Change this to my IP address, which is, I forgot, I know it's .89. So we're going to hit Control C. Run this. 1.89, alright. 1.89. And this right here is just a port it will be using. I'm going to hit enter. And as you can see, guys, it's going to direct us to login. So I'm going to go ahead and log in. Got it. Close Plex Pass. I'm going to expand this right here. And here we are, guys. I put in this IP address with the port 32400. It wanted me to log in. I logged in. It now directed me here, and it wants me to give my name, or my server name. So I'm going to call this Centos Plex. And we can set this up. I'm going to not set that up. Next. In here, you can add your library here, movies. Next. And guys, as you can see, we don't have anything connected to this as far as movies go. So I'm going to show you how to do that as our next step here. So I'm going to click cancel. We'll go ahead and next through this. Done. Alright guys, so there are several ways we could do this. When I say several, there are a lot of ways. The way I'm going to be showing you, however, is a way that I want to do it, because this is the way I would do my server. And that way is to have the movies stored locally on the storage of the Linux machine. And that's the way most people would do it. So that's the approach I'm going to take. I could mount this NTFS volume on the Centos machine. It would require quite a bit of work. I've done it many times, but I don't want to do that in this tutorial. That's more of a Linux tutorial. This is a Plex tutorial, and I need to make sure I remember that we're doing a Plex tutorial, not a Linux tutorial. So how I'm going to do that, I need a way to copy my movies off from my external drive onto my Linux machine. So I'm going to be opening up WinSCP and choose download. Click this download button here. Alright, we're going to run this program here. Yes. Accept. I'll leave this at default. I'll keep it at commander install. Alrighty, we'll click next and we'll click finish. Alright, we have this up now. Here is where you'll add in your Linux server. So I'm going to type in 19. Now this will be your IP address, but I'm going to type in 192.168.1.89. Type in my username here, which is root, and my password. You can go ahead, since we're going to be treating this as a permanent solution, we're going to go ahead and save this, and I'll title this Plex. We'll click OK. This just saves your credentials as to your IP address. I'm going to double click that. We're going to choose yes. It's going to want the password one more time. Go ahead and type that in. Click OK. And here we see our Linux machine. Now, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to create a folder for where we're going to store our Linux movies. So I'm going to come back over to our machine. Alright guys, so we got this up, and as you can see we have 17 gigabytes available of storage. Now I will say this, if you followed my initial steps and create a small disk, then you will need to go and create an additional disk. If you have questions about that, I'll go through a tutorial maybe for Virtualbox and showing you how to do that. But essentially all you have to do is go into the VM settings, go into storage, and add that storage here. There are some other settings that you need to go through. If you need assistance with that, let me know, and I'll do a tutorial on that. But I'm trying to keep this to Plex and distinguish myself from other platforms. So let's do that now. So let's cd, which is change directory, into slash, which is root, ls, which is a list command. Alright, now we're going to create a folder. We're going to call this Plex. So I'm going to create a folder by typing in mkdir for make directory, and we're going to type in Plex. Now please remember, if you do capitalize folders, this is cap sensitive. So if you capitalize the folder and you go into view the folder, you got to make sure you hit the exact key, such as a capital P versus a lowercase p. So I'm hitting that and pressing ls, and there is my Plex folder. Now I want to go ahead and transfer movies using WinSCP. Refresh. There's our Plex folder. Let me go into my movies. Alright, and I'm going to choose these three properties. It's 3.8 gigabytes. So I'm just going to choose these three movies. I'm going to drag them over here. And we're going to leave this like it is. We'll click OK. We'll let it transfer. It's going to take a few minutes. The more movies you move over, the longer it will take. Once this is done, I'm then going to show you how to add it in Plex. Alright guys, so we have these three added in. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize, just in case we need that backup. Open up my web browser, go back into Plex, add libraries, movies, Next, browse for media folder, and you're just going to come in here, find your folder, and it pulls up our movies. We're going to click add library, and there they are, guys. There's our 3 movies. So yeah, guys, that is how you set up a Centos Plex server. It was very involved, very in-depth. I hope it helps you, and I'm going to be doing much more tutorials in the future. If you want to see a Linux tutorial again, comment below. If you want to see a Virtualbox tutorial, comment below. If you want me to go more in depth on creating this Plex server using Virtualbox, such as adding a disk, comment below. I'll do any of that. Whatever you guys want me to do, I have no problem doing. I love doing tutorials in general. So if it's a tutorial, I'll do it. Again, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Alright guys, so if you like what you saw and you feel like you want to help out on the channel, help me get a studio, in the description below, guys, I have a PayPal, a Patreon, as well as a GoFundMe. Feel free to hop in there and donate some money if you'd like. And Patreon does have some rewards, so check out that and check out the rewards. You have just some pretty cool things I'm excited about releasing to you, and if you do Patreon, you'll definitely get those early. So guys, that is it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.